Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. Welcome, everybody. I hope that everyone is having a good day today. This is going to be episode number... ¿Qué es, Stella?
I don't know. Don't you number your papers?
No, I don't number my papers.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so this is episode we don't know, but it's in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, it's been in the 90s. If this is not episode 99, maybe it has, and not 100, but at least 99, maybe.
Dude, can you imagine when we first started saying 100 episodes? That's crazy.
That's 2 years.
That's a lot of episodes. Almost.
Yeah.
But anyway, so today we're going to be discussing the case of Maria Belen Bernal. So we actually are going to go down to South America.
Okay.
So this is a South American case, and vamos a ir a Ecuador.
Okay.
So I don't think we've ever been to Ecuador.
Or South America.
Nor South America, pero a lot of the things that we do look into, most of them there's not a lot of information porque muchos de los casos, obviously in even Mexico, muchas de las casos, we don't know a lot about them over here in the United States, but this one was kind of a big deal.
Okay.
And the reason it was a big deal was because the person that was killed was very, very known in Ecuador. So if you would like to come with us to Ecuador, find out what happened to Maria, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started.
So the particular place where this was done, the murder was done was Quito, Ecuador. It's Quito. Okay. So I'm going to give you more than one fun fact because I feel like I don't know when we'll be able to go back to Ecuador, but you never know. Hopefully we don't go back.
I'm sure if you look, you'll find.
So, I didn't mean to say them. So, one of the biggest fun facts was that they considered that there's a statue or a monument in Ecuador, Quito, que se llama Mitad del Mundo or Middle of the World. This is a complex build in honor of the first real attempt to determine the shape of the Earth.
Oh, cool. Whoa.
I know.
Okay.
That the real equator line is way off. It's not even close, but they called it that. So it's still a great place for you to visit. It's really beautiful. Tiene bien bastantes como pasto and everything like that. Look, you can see it.
Oh, yeah. It looks like a garden area.
A garden, yeah. Also, they're home to the black-breasted puff-leg hummingbird, which I don't know how this is important, but it is very interesting.
It's interesting.
This beautiful little hummingbird is critically endangered.
Oh, shit.
Because there's less than 300 left in the wild.
A ver, ¿tienes foto?
Espérame. They're native to Ecuador and considered to be the official bird of Quito. Mm-hmm. They're mostly dark black color, but when they catch the light, they shine emerald green.
Ooh.
And they're in deep purple, and with the purple being mostly restricted to their cute little chins, and they're only around 9 centimeters long. Tiny. So also, Ecuador's highest active volcano, Cotopaxi. So it's Cotopaxi, Cotopaxi. Mm-hmm. Cotopaxi. So I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. It's only 6 kilometers south of Quito. It's the highest active volcano in Ecuador. It is found in the Cotopaxi Cotopaxi National Park, and it spans 3 provinces. And that's about it. Cool. So I thought that was so interesting, the whole hummingbird thing. Let me see if I can find a picture of him so you can see him. It's called black-breasted puff-leg. That's a lot. Black.
Oh my God, he's so fluffy.
He's so fluffy. He's so cute. But
He is.
So like I said, we're going to Quito, Ecuador, and we'll be discussing the case of Maria Belen that was killed on September 11, 2022.
Oh, recently?
So it wasn't that long ago.
No, not at all.
She was only 34 years old.
Oh, crap.
Maria was born on the 14th of March of 1988, and she was a lawyer in her native Quito, Ecuador. Mm-hmm. She was able to obtain her master's in litigation in California Western School of Law, and she was very good at her job. Mm-hmm. She defended very high-profile cases. She was a part of only 6 women in her group.
Wow.
And her cases were mostly sexually abused or gender violence and, domestic violence, at their home. Maria had the biggest heart, which I know we say this in every episode, but it's still
It's true.
It haunts me, honestly, because it's like you could be the nicest person in the whole wide world. So she used TikTok as one of the platforms that she would give legal advice to people if they were in need for free. She would also use the platform to stand up for female rights. And she was actually known for a case that she took that it was for a young man named Alejandro Palis. He died in March of 2021 after he was ran over by police in Ecuador.
Oh, shit.
She was able to prove the responsibility of the police in his death. So, what does that mean? She was going to have enemies because, you don't go against the police, While Maria won the case, she was very concerned for her safety.
Yeah, I bet.
Not only that, but she would come on TikTok and actually llamar,
like voice out.
And she actually gave the names of who she was concerned with. I mean, if you go and look her up, her TikToks were kind of cool. She would decía que había ido a una comida y que de la comida había entrado y el señor que they let her in and then they surrounded her. Like they were like
she
actively,
didn't keep quiet.
Yeah,
like they were just trying to actually try to quiet her so she wouldn't speak out.
Exactly.
But she was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to let people know that if something happens to me, it's because...
No, and she named both people.
Okay.
By
so she
name.
knew.
Yeah, she knew who it was. And she said, tú, so-and-so, and so-and-so. Because, I mean, it wasn't... People didn't really say their names. I don't know if there was something still going on with, like, the casing. With the case. Ni que fuera pinche sausage. Anyway. So, then ella decía, si algo me pasa, es porque él y él me hicieron algo. Like, she was not afraid to speak her mind. So she stated that she was concerned because she had put them in jail.
Or she had gotten justice
for Alejandro. She knew that that would come with her job. Like, she was aware of that being a lawyer, but she was willing to take the risk.
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, that just goes to show you how much she actually cared about getting justice for these people that would go through.
Yeah, with what they went through. But not only that, pero muchas de las veces, like...
And then she didn't care who she went up against. She was gonna, and that takes you don't see that a lot, I feel like, nowadays, because everybody's just, like you say, keep quiet or... No,
y además de eso, like, I feel like she really loved her job. Y hay personas que when you truly love your job, like, you actually love what you're doing, it makes it makes a big difference.
And I just feel like the world would be a better place if people were more like that.
Yeah, more like, hey, you know what? I love what I do. Y no me importa lo que voy a hacer para ayudarte, pero I'm going to do it because I love it.
Yeah.
Even if you're just like...
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
What type of job it is.
Like, I always tell my kids, if you're going to be...
whatever.
You're going to work at McDonald's, or if you're going to sweep the floor, be the best fucking sweeper in the whole wide world. Like, you have the Escoba 2000, like, you're bomb. So she really did love her job. But she was worried also because she had a 13-year-old son. Mm-hmm. They mentioned his name. I don't think that I need to say it. There was no point. The little boy had nothing to do with anything, but he was 13.
There's such a chiquito. He's like 14, 15 now?
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so she was a single mom because after she had her son, like, the man, she just didn't have anything to do with her, so la dejó. Y ella se mudó con su mamá.
And she was like, I'm going to have my son anyway.
I'm going to have my... Yeah. Okay. And so she lives now with her mom, Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. And also, Elizabeth was taking care of her mom. So everybody lived in the house.
Yeah.
Her grandma, Maria's grandma, and she has cancer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So she would take responsibilities of buying the medications and everything that the grandma needed for her therapy.
Yeah.
In 2015, she called the police because there was a break-in in her home. The police officer that came to her rescue was 29-year-old Lieutenant Germán Casares. After they met or whatever, they exchanged numbers and they started to date. Mm-hmm. Germán not only was a police officer, lieutenant, but he was also an instructor in a local police academy. So he would like wine and dine her, like, to a point where they were like, oh my God, they're so annoying. Like, they were always together.
Okay.
Le llevaba flores. Like, he
liked her.
Yeah, he liked her. He really wanted, and she was beautiful. She had the most beautiful hair and I've ever seen. She had the most beautiful smile. She was gorgeous. And so in 2017, he proposed and they got married.
So, like 2 years after they met, right? Okay, and they started dating because you said it was 2015, no?
Yeah, 2015 when they met. Mm-hmm. Y entonces, a lot of people were actually saying, so there was conflict on that because some sources that I read decían que la razón que lo conoció fue because she was taking money to the bank. Okay. And that he was there to help her. And then other people say it was a robbery. I don't know. But the thing is, they met
Yeah, one way or another.
So they moved in together and they became a little family because her son really got along with Herman and
he didn't have kids?
He didn't have any kids. And, you know, they were good. Everything seemed like everything was good because as it always does, it always seems like it's good. So we're going to go forward to September the 10th of 2022.
Okay.
As I mentioned before, Herman was an instructor in a police academy. So Herman, that day, he had a night shift.
Okay.
At the academy.
Yeah.
So the night shift empezaba a las 7 de la noche.
Okay.
Okay. So to make it clear, Herman was not to leave the academy.
At what time? Like from what time to what time was his shift?
So from 7 to like 6, I think.
Okay.
Or like it was a 12-hour shift. I don't know. But the biggest thing, and we're going to go back and forth to this, is that he was not supposed to leave the academy.
Okay.
Okay. So once he started the shift, ahí se tenía que quedar.
Okay.
But some people started talking about que iba a haber una soccer match.
Okay.
So I don't know who he spoke to or how he did it, but he said he got a way to be able to get out of work and say, hey, you can go to the soccer match, pero regresas cuando termina el soccer match.
Damn, but isn't a soccer match like 3 fucking hours or some shit? Like 2 hours?
Pero let me tell you.
Wait, like on TV? Or he was going to play in a soccer match?
No, in a soccer match, like play.
Like he was going to play?
Yeah.
Like he was in a soccer team?
Yes.
Okay.
Pero no es como dices tú. It wasn't like a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, is he going to watch soccer on TV? Like, había un juego? Or?
No, he was going to play. So the thing is, the plan was he was going to go play y se iba a regresar a trabajar.
Okay.
Right? How did he get a
way to do that?
We don't know.
Okay.
But he's a lieutenant, so we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? So then they said, okay, go ahead and go, pero te regresas.
As soon as you're done.
Yeah. Pero that was done because he didn't even play. Because he was the backup of the backup. So he did all of that to get out of work.
He wasn't even like starting. He was the backup of the backup.
That's what I said, pero I'm pretty sure he wasn't the backup of the backup. Pero
oh,
they didn't even need him.
So he wasn't even starting. He was probably just like a backup player.
Yeah, he was just.
But why was he I'm sorry. Why was he rushing to go to a match that he wasn't even most likely not even going to play?
I don't know. But
okay.
From there, it was over, so he was supposed to go back.
¿Y se regresó?
No.
Oh, la verga.
He did not go back to the academy for his shift.
¿Se fue a comprar algo de comer?
No. Sus buddies estaban ahí ya después del juego chileando. Y le dijo, hey, there's going to be a party at one of the cadets' house. Que vive cerca de ahí del academy. And her name is Nadia.
And you're like, oh, let's go head on over.
Hey, Nadia va a tener party. Vente pa' acá, whatever. And he's like, you know what? Tiene razón. I'm going to go and I'm going to have some drinks because I need to relax.
Relax?
Once again, he's supposed to be at work.
I know, but relax from what? Yuri playing?
I don't know. Mind you, he was supposed to work overnight. Like, this is a big thing. Like,
right, right. Okay.
Whatever makes you happy. But I don't think, I don't know. Anyway.
Just don't drive there drunk.
Well, at the party, Herman saw one of his students there. Cadet Jocelyn Sanchez. Based on what I know and what's transpired is that Jocelyn and Herman were having an affair.
Okay.
So he was married to an amazing woman. I still it's like
yeah, not even that, but she's your cadet. You're the lieutenant.
Exactly.
How old was she?
She was.
I don't
have that information, but I think she was like 22, 23 years old. She was a lot younger. He was like in his 30s.
So I'm assuming that he was maybe the same age as his wife. So he had to have been at least like 13, 14 years older than this girl.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not trying to say anything because you're an adult too, but it's like a power imbalance, you know.
Exactly. No, well, we're going to get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is that. And as well, like, you know, yeah, it's like, why did Jay-Z cheat on Beyonce? Like, I don't understand, like, why do you go from having... Allegedly. So having, like, this girl, she's a lawyer, dude. Like, she has her life together. You guys have a home and you're going to go in like a young girl. Okay, maybe because she's young. I don't know. But anyway, so I heard a few things. So there were some conflicting things. Some things were saying that he was okay and nice to Maria for like a little bit, pero que después he changed y empezó a como...
Was this like after they got married?
Yeah, after they got married.
Okay.
So parece que también leí en un lugar que like she was acting weird, like she wouldn't come out of her house. So she was like, I don't know if they were already having problems, but in other places it says that they were not having problems. So I don't know. But I just felt like it was good to mention that because maybe, I don't know.
It makes sense to somebody, yeah.
Yeah. So after he had made Maria fall in love with him, like, bitch, why didn't you show your true colors? You know?
They never do.
But anyway, and they were at a point now where her son was actually calling him dad. Like, that's how close they were.
Yeah.
You know? So Germán goes on to tell Jocelyn que vámonos para el academy, pues. Because
where he was working.
Where he was working. Because they were at Nadia's house.
Right,
it wasn't too far. So le dijo, vámonos para la academy. You know, we can have a little razzle-dazzle, you know, have a little alone time. And Jocelyn...
At your job?
Exactly. And Jocelyn said, okay, pues vámonos.
Okay.
No se hizo de rogar.
Pues no.
So then they make their way there. At this point, it was 4.5 hours after he was supposed to be...
At work.
At 7. So it's around 12 a.m.
Okay, that's 5 hours.
Well, 4.5. It was like 12, 11:30. Some around. So there's video, okay, of him driving his motorcycle.
Okay.
And he got to the academy y cuando llegó chocó. Yeah. He fell off of the motorcycle.
Wait, where was Jocelyn?
Jocelyn se vino separada.
Okay. Her own vehicles.
Her own vehicle. Él se cae enfrente. O sea, haz de cuenta. You can see he's in front of, like, excuse me. He's in front of, like, ahí donde está la caseta donde they're going to let you into the academy.
Okay, yeah.
And he literally falls over.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! He's gonna shoot! Oi! Shot fired! Shot fired! Stay out! You got a gun on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
I'm sorry, I'm picturing just like un bulto and then just like tips over to the side.
And then está tirado, and the car almost hit his head. Because all the cars, like, the
kept
avenida
going, right? Yeah.
Se levantó, stumbled up.
Oh, shit, he was drunk.
And he went inside. Okay?
Dude, you're a fucking lieutenant.
A lieutenant, okay?
And you're driving.
Yes.
A motorcycle.
A few moments later, in the cameras as well, they see que llega Jocelyn.
Okay.
Yo creo como en un Uber, en un carro, no sé. She makes her way up to the room. To the room where they were going to meet, apparently. So they were going to hang out, yeah? Now, the way that I learned about it is que como tenían, like, their quarters.
Right.
All of the cadets. Right. So then they were like cuartitos, casi como un hotel room. Y they would stay there while they were, you know, in the academy. Everybody had como que estaba wall con wall. You know, everybody had a little room or whatever. So se oía todo.
Like a dorm.
Yeah, like a dorm.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, Germán starts getting phone calls. And phone calls. And he kept hanging up. So he's like, you know what? Déjame le contesto. Es mi wife.
Okay.
Le dice a Jocelyn, le dice, can you go to the other room para que no vaya a oír que you're here?
Or just be quiet.
Or, I don't know. But according to him, he instructed her to go to
somewhere else.
So then, like I said, they're next door. So ella se fue to another guy's room que estaba otro cadet. They all knew each other.
So I'm sorry, like, real quick. So everybody just knew that they were having an affair?
Yeah, everybody knew they were having an affair. And so le dijo a ella, espérame. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you're not able to just walk into the academy. Like, this is not something that anybody can just walk in.
No, I'm sure, yeah.
So Maria was able to walk in because she was the lieutenant's wife.
Right, so they knew her.
And you can see the car que llega, la señora, you know, and you can see her where she drives in. Now, report says that they were meeting up because ella le iba a llevar lonche.
Todavía.
Sí, ella le estaba llevando lonche.
She's such a good person.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a good wife.
She literally was a good wife. Yeah. And not only that, but the footage of the car, like, sees her drive up and it looked like she was wearing, like, PJs, como que no iba, like, you know.
No, she literally was just going to go drop him off lunch. Yeah, like, she wasn't going to go for anything else.
Cuando le habló, she heard that he was drunk.
Oh, yeah, por eso le andaba marcando.
Exactly.
Because she's like, hey, I need you to, I'm here, I'm on my way.
Or I'm on my way, whatever.
Yeah.
Entonces ella llegó and you see her in the
cameras,
in the footage, que ella va y camina towards a donde estaba, ¿verdad? Germán. So they started having a heated argument because when she got there, he was all fucked up.
Yeah.
And he had hickeys. And so she's like, what the fuck? You know, what do you mean you have hickeys? Like,
what is going on?
Yeah, what is going
drunk.
on? You're drunk, blah, blah, blah. So they started having an argument back and forth. So reports state that a few people around the room actually heard her screaming.
I'm sure.
So there was sounds of beating, screaming, and Maria was fighting him back. Not only that, but she was asking for help, Estela. She was screaming, auxilio, auxilio, me está matando.
Oh my God.
Nobody came to help her.
Oh my God.
No one came to see, hey,
what's going on?
What's going on? Are you okay? And then it went silent. So we can imagine what happened, right? Mm-hmm. So the next morning, Germán is seen leaving
the
academy in Maria's car. Pero Maria is not there in the car.
To be seen.
And not only that, pero va y viene twice. Mm-hmm. So he leaves, comes back, leaves, comes back. So that's the following morning. The next morning.
So this is the 11th?
That was the 11th. So now we're on the 12th.
Okay.
So the 11th, you see him going back and forth. He goes to work, does his thing.
No, the 10th was when he goes.
He goes.
So y esa es la noche que llega Maria. But then the next morning is when you see him driving in and out with her car.
So now, pasa todo el día. By the 12th, Germán has the balls to call Elizabeth, which is Maria's mom, remember?
Su suegra.
Y le pregunta por su hija. Hey, I can't find her. You know, she did come back over here last night, but we got into a fight. Then we left the academy. And then cuando íbamos manejando, me pidió que la bajara. And then she was going to catch a taxi.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And so then Elizabeth was like, wait, what? That makes no sense. So by now, according to Elizabeth, he said he saw her on the 10th. So now it's the 12th.
It's been according to you, it's been what, like a whole ass day and a half now that you haven't seen her?
And you haven't seen her, heard from her. And now at this point, Elizabeth's like, well, you know, we haven't seen her car, like nothing.
Yeah,
right?
like we haven't heard from her.
So she didn't waste time. She was like, I'm
calling the police.
Reporting missing, you know, whatever. She reported her missing. Now, once again, I'm pretty sure that they were so afraid of, you know, the backlash of everything that she did. So her act was like, oh shit, alguien se la llevó, alguien le hizo algo, you know?
Because like you said, she would get followed or harassed,
even like eating lunch or whatever. So she automatically, the thought is like, alguien le hizo algo. But then she was like, well, why is she missing from an academy where there's police officers? I don't know. It was just kind of questioning, you know? So they questioned Germán y le dicen, okay, show me the route, para donde le dieron, you know, what happened that night. He's like, well, we argued, and he recreated everything según y donde la bajó. And he said that she got mad y que Maria se bajó ahí en ese lugar y que she started walking.
First of all, you're going to drop off your wife at fucking, what? Let's say, for instance, in a hole en la noche.
3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Or not even, like at 11:30 at night, midnight, just on the side of the road. Like, who the fuck does that? It doesn't matter if you guys are arguing. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Imagine if Alex was going to drop you off in the middle. You guys argued and
I ain't getting off.
No, pero he'd be like, if you would say, oh, drop me off right here. It's 12 midnight. Do you think that he would let you get off even though you guys were arguing?
I've done that before. He didn't let me out. Believe me, I've done that before. He was like, no, bitch. And then...
Child lock.
Yeah, like, no, motherfucker. So then after that, you know, at the same time when they're kind of questioning Germán, they also put out the missing persons bulletin so everybody could start looking for her. Germán took them to the exact location that he said that he dropped Maria off. The investigators started there. They're like, okay, we're going to start looking here. The police started to notice there was a little bit of inconsistencies in Germán's story.
But then, like you said, everybody knew her, right? So I'm sure the police are like, oh, fuck. Like you said, something happened to her.
Yeah. So everybody knew her because not only was she a lawyer, but she was married to a lieutenant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he even had the audacity, Estela, to tell Elizabeth, hey, I hope you don't think that I had anything to do with her disappearance. You know me. Yeah.
For 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was when they got married in 2017.
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah. Why would you say that?
Out of nowhere.
Like randomly just be like, oye, pues, ¿sabes qué? I know that you might think so, but I'm not.
No fui yo.
Tú
me conoces.
Sí. No, yo no fui. But, hey, maybe he just wanted to make himself feel better. But that just kind of, Elizabeth was like, no.
Something's not right.
So sí le dijo a los investigadores, he was like, hey, he said this to me and I don't feel okay with that. So they asked, hey, can we go to your room at the academy so we can look around? He was like, yeah. He's like, that's fine. So on September the 13th, Germán agreed for them to go. And when they went in, they found a mattress with substance that looked like blood on the mattress. and it looked like someone was trying to clean up. But after, when he walked in and he saw that the investigators were focusing on that, he's like, I never gave you permission to be in here. So you have to leave.
Okay.
And he changed his mind and he said, I didn't authorize you. You have to leave. Even Elizabeth, like la señora was like, hey, ¿por qué estás haciendo esto? Like, why are you doing this? We're just trying to find her. Like, if you had nothing to do, I mean, you know, whatever.
Like, be cooperative.
Yeah. And she tried to convince him, pero dijo que no, que se tenían que ir. Because he knew his rights. He's a police officer.
Well, yeah, pero también estás bien pinche pendejo because you should know better. You're a police officer.
Super pendejo. He became really hard to work with after that.
I'm sure.
And he actually left, but he was like, hey, you might want to stick around. You know, don't go too far, because they wanted to question him again. Mm-hmm. They got a bit worried because he stopped going to work. So they're like, oh, this fool's going to run. So
at this, can I ask if he was the main suspect at this point? Okay. A person of interest?
A person of interest. Just trying to find out what happened the night that he was with her. Because he was the last one to see her.
Right.
So they brought him back into questioning como para que no se les vaya a ir, you know? So they said, hey, come back and we just have to fill out some paperwork for like analytics and all this other stuff or formalities. So when this was going on acá en el you know, in the investigators y todo eso hablando con él, they were like, hey, we got a warrant. We're going to go back to the room. But
this was his room at the academy.
At the academy.
Okay.
So he would stay overnight, so where he would rest, whatever, you know, all that stuff.
But he had his own
He had his own room. He was a lieutenant.
Yeah.
So then after 8 hours of having him there. Interrogating him, they had to let him go because they didn't have
anything to hold him. But they already had gotten a search warrant
for the room. Yeah. So at the second time of going to the room, that's when they found another stain that looked like blood that was on the wall. Not only that, they found traces of semen, beer cans, and one of Maria's shoes and her purse. Also, there was more evidence of people trying to attempt the cleaning of the room, like on the walls y todo eso.
Like smudges and stuff?
Yeah. Now this is like, okay, you know, you're really looking bad, buddy. Yeah. But they didn't have enough to actually, you know, charge him. They needed either a witness or somebody that heard him saying, fuck you, bitch, or something,
or
you know?
a confession.
You know, again, they briefly spoke to him and he went outside.
Not even briefly, bitch. That was 8 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours. So they spoke to him and then he left in his motorcycle. Like, he was like, you have nothing to charge me, I'm leaving. So se fue. Police wanted to send a policeman after him, como para que lo siguiera, para keep an eye. Mm-hmm. But by the time they were able to get the authorization y todo eso, he was already gone. He was gone.
Pero you said que ya todavía, he stopped showing up to work,
She stopped showing up to work. So that's when the police were like, oh shit, este va a correr. So let's bring him in. And they started bringing him in for all that shit. Anyway, at this point, they have to have a witness. Like, there's no way that nobody saw anything.
Or heard.
So they interviewed about 24 people that were around the room the night that Maria was there. A cadet did come forward with some information stating that he heard Germán dragging something down the stairs. Another cadet officer said that he heard Maria screaming and calling for help. Oh, and that he did go to the superior, pero que el superior le dijo que no se metiera en la vida personal del lieutenant.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised, but...
Someone else said that they saw Germán walking around asking for a flashlight and scissors. Like if he was going to do arts and crafts and shit. Like, what the fuck?
In the middle of the night?
Yeah. And another one said that they saw him walking with something wrapped in a blanket inside his wife's car. So it gets worse. Someone actually saw the body of Maria.
What?
Yes, in the room, but they thought she was sleeping.
Okay.
Como que abrió la puerta and they kind of caught a glimpse.
Okay, I mean, I can see that.
Yeah,
honestly.
Me too. But the next thing is that another cadet said he heard someone being intimate around 5 a.m.
Okay.
That morning.
Girl, I have thoughts.
Same. So on the same day, they shut down the police academy. They're like, fuck all this shit. I don't know what the hell's going on in here.
But we need to
close it down.
Yeah.
So the next day, Jocelyn Blanco, which is the girl that Germán was having an affair with, the mistress, allegedly, was arrested. And she told investigators that Germán told her to wait in the next room.
Right.
And he said that she did hear the screaming and shouting, and that she even saw Germán walking down the stairs carrying something bulky wrapped around in a blanket. She does end up changing her story. And she said that she didn't remember anything because she was tired from being up for a long time. And also she was drunk. So she went to the other room and fell asleep.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it could happen. I don't know. She changed it again, and she said I had long shifts and I was just partying, so I fell asleep. Once again, the same thing. And she said she heard absolutely nothing. So she told two different stories about what actually happened that night.
According to her. And so at this point, on September the 17th of 2022, they put her in preventive prison. So they're like... what?
Preventive prison. It's a thing. I didn't know that. So basically, they put her in there to see if they were going to charge her with anything.
Okay,
like
she's
still in prison. Yeah, like a holding. Yeah. So she's in prison for the participation of Maria's involuntary disappearance. Because they're like, you heard her. You didn't do nothing about it.
But so did a whole bunch of other people, apparently.
Exactly. So that's my next thing. So other witnesses were there, and Jocelyn told authorities that she was not the only. Why was she the only one being arrested?
Yeah, or being held, or being held.
Her lawyers were not having it, so they did appeal the decision of the judge. Her lawyers said she knows as much as everyone else that was there.
Yes.
And not only that, there was more lieutenants and cadets and all of this that heard the same thing.
And one did report, I mean, to a higher up, and they're like, hey, no te metas en lo que no te importa.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
Why are we prosecuting her?
Right.
You know? Eventually...
I mean, she's no angel, but I doubt that
I don't think that you need to go to jail for cheating with someone. Not that we're condoning that, but that's your life. But dude, like, why do you need to go to jail for that?
Yeah.
Eventually, they did arrest someone else, which is Alfonso Camacho. And he was also a lieutenant. He was the one that stated that he heard the scuffs and noises from the room, and that he had the door, that's the one that saw the door open a little bit.
And then he saw Maria.
He saw Maria, and then he quickly was told to
look away or whatever, or leave.
And he said that he actually asked Germán if everything was okay. And he said, yeah, it's a matter between husband and wife. So, okay. Either one of them or any of the other people that were investigated reported to anyone, including the dumbass, that they saw. Like, nobody reported to anybody, Estela.
I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, in my mind, I see it as, okay, you guys are in the police force. This is a police academy. And there are lieutenants here. So if I reported to a higher up, you think that they would be... It's the police. I mean...
Yeah.
No, and I
completely agree. You know? I agree. So
not saying that they should have tried a little bit harder, but
Yeah. So they end up suspending the 12 witnesses, like I mentioned before.
From the academy?
And from the academy.
But, I mean, the academy has shut down
already, and they arrested Jocelyn Alfonso. That's where we're at right now. They tested Maria's car with luminol, and it came back positive for blood. And the weird thing is that another thing that they didn't catch, I don't know if they didn't catch it or if they didn't care, but they see her driving in, but they never see her driving out. So why no one reported hey, there's a lady that came in but signed in but never signed out?
Yeah.
That's another thing. That is really a big deal from the academy. They're you have to have everything documented,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Or whoever, visitors.
Yeah, and they did see Germán leaving in his wife's car. So you couldn't have...
Maybe they did, but they just...
So there was also no register of the accident that Germán se dio en la madre afuera. Nobody told anybody que andaba ya todo pedo and shit. Nobody said anything. And...
Do you think because it wasn't technically on the grounds of the academy, he was trying to get in, right?
Well, I mean, but he's a lieutenant and he was obviously drunk.
Well, yeah, he's still public intoxication.
Bro, if you see the video... So... There was no register of that either. I mean, they're just not registering anything apparently that has to do with Germán. I don't know if it's you said a power thing. I don't know. Now they're searching for the alleged killer for Maria, and there was no luck in finding anything. They were now looking for her body, obviously, because they don't know what happened to her.
But again, we all pretty much think that it was Hernan. They just don't have anything to
charge.
But I mean, all the stuff that they found in his room.
Well, yeah, pero they couldn't connect them to him.
Why? It's his room.
That's what I said, but I don't know. I don't know how Ecuador works. I don't know. So they started, like I said, de donde él dice donde la dejó. They started looking there. It was grass fields, mountains. Like I said, Ecuador has a lot of mountains and volcanoes, apparently. And her mom was even quoted saying that she was going to search everywhere, even if she had to go garbage can by garbage can, and even look through the dumpsters. A few days
I mean, I'm sorry, pero pobre señora, not even is her daughter missing. She has her grandson, and her mom has cancer that she's also taking care of, and your fucking son-in-law is being a fucking menace to society over here, and your daughter, pobre señora.
Pobrecita. So a few days into this, they did have a breakthrough. While looking through Germán's phone records, it was determined that before he escaped, he received a phone call around 9:49
What do you mean before
p.m.
he escaped?
Before he fled.
Okay.
Allegedly fled.
Yeah.
So before that, he received a phone call around the time when Maria went missing at 9:49 p.m. So look, so you know how she went. So she went in there the day before, and it all gets explained at the trial. So I kind of wanted to wait until later to explain it. So around 9:49 p.m., and I will explain a little bit more about what happened and why this was the day.
On the 11th?
They found a phone call that had pinged to that area. So they were like, hey, well, maybe this has something to do. Why is he being called?
Oh, from his phone.
His Germán's phone, yeah.
Okay.
So then they're like, well, what happened? Why is he getting a phone call here? So they went to go look there, and it was about 10 minutes behind the school. So it wasn't far from there, and they had not looked there.
That's not far.
So I'm trying to read the name of the mountain, but it's really hard. It's called Casatagua. So it's Casitagua.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Casatagua. I don't know, but that's what it was called. So the mountain was about, like I said, 10 minutes behind the school. So on September 21st was the day that they discovered where they had a black bag containing 2 blankets and a towel with blood. When they started searching broader the area, they found Maria, unfortunately deceased, with a bag over her head. And she was found after 12 days of searching. Mm-hmm. So she had a bag wrapped around her head. Now, people gathered around her mom to show support, and they were demanding justice for Maria. And a lot of they even all had to walk to the main, like, I guess, capital which is Quito. And they were all like, we want justice for her because she was killed, in
cold blood.
The craziest thing, Estella, is that the same thing that she was fighting for is what killed her.
From her and her own husband.
Yeah. It's such an evil way.
I'm assuming here.
Yeah, we're assuming, right? On September the 22nd, the family was able to have her funeral. A lot of people attended. Mm-hmm. I am talking about her co-workers, her clients, her community of feminist groups, and they placed a purple sash on top of her coffin to represent the fight that she had against femicides. And they were, the feminist group that she was a part of said they were not going to let this go. They were going to fight until they brought justice to Maria. After some time, the autopsy did come back, and it was determined that Maria died of asphyxiation. Mm-hmm. Asphyxiation. She was strangled to death with a fracture of her thyroid cartilage and a hematoma near her right eye. Not only that, but she had a hematoma on her skull, which means that he beat her pretty bad. So it was confirmed that the time frame of the murder and Maria's time being in the living quarters of the academy kind of was aligned. So when the argument started, that's when she was killed immediately. So authorities did feel like now they were going to charge Germán Casares for the death of Maria. At this point, the authorities felt a lot of pressure because they're like, wait a minute, let's step back a little bit. This guy that just killed his wife was in an academy with training police officers. He's a lieutenant. He's making the government look a little bit bad, right? Yeah. Or the police department. So there was at least 20 people that called with tips saying where maybe they could find Germán, and no, nothing. But finally, by the 22nd, it was of September, that day was announced where they said, hey, the International Commission would arrive on Monday from Colombia to assist the investigation. On the same day, the United Nations of Ecuador released a statement requesting authorities to prioritize the protection of women for the response of violence in real action. So basically, they were like, hey, y'all need to make sure that we set something forward because of what happened to Maria. It was a big controversy that the person responsible for the death was first of all, she was a prominent lawyer and he was a police officer, especially inside of a training facility.
Yeah.
When they brought it into the academy and said, hey, dude, what happened? How did this happen? How did you let this happen? The training facility stated that it was an isolated case and that Germán had passed all of his physiological exams before he was hired as an instructor, and that he didn't have any record of
abuse
in his past. With this statement, the school tried to say that they were not taking any responsibility on what he did or what happened to Maria and their campus. On September the 26th, the former president of Ecuador stated that the academy would be demolished once the investigation was complete. And Maria's family participated in a symbolic closure of the academy. After it was demolished, the family stated that they hoped that Maria's death would help inspire more help for women in the country, as well as the head of the academy would be, they wanted the head of the academy or an academy somewhere would be replaced with a woman. And this is what Elizabeth said, and I quote, "How can I be sure that the state will tell me the truth about what exactly happened to my daughter?" Elizabeth felt like they were going to try to cover it up.
Yeah.
She's like, people are going to try to, downplay what happened. And she just wanted to make sure that her daughter got the justice that she needed. In her eyes, the people of the school, everyone heard her screaming and there was no one that came to help her daughter. She was asking for help and no one came. Not only that Elizabeth was able to, she was on it. She was walking to places. She was like, I'm going to make sure that you guys please don't let this happen again. So she went to the commission in the government and she focused on so that they can focus just on the case of Maria as time went by and there was no signs of Germán. So she's saying, okay, if there's no signs, they're going to forget about her. And there was no leads to help find where Germán, like I said before, where he had gone. And the government was trying to show everybody was against each other. There's more good cops than bad cops. This is something that was very isolated.
Right.
It was impaired in there. And at this point, the government's like, dude, we have to find this man. Because
so at least I think that maybe what they were saying, okay, our police force where he worked wasn't bad. It was just him.
It was just him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Police Commander Fausto Salinas had a press conference on October the 5th of 2022 and stated that they were aware that Germán had fled to Colombia.
Oh, shit.
But they were working double time, girl.
On it.
Double time to find him. And finally, after 3 months of him missing, he was found on December 2022 in a town of Colombia called Palomino. Not to be confused with the Los Palominos, the music group. Reports say that he was working at a hostel bar. But let me tell you something about this hostel. So the hostel place that he was supposedly working on, they released a statement and they said, hey, he wasn't working here. He was just standing there whenever they took his picture. I thought it was funny because I'm like, these motherfuckers are like, hey.
We don't want any association.
We don't want that smoke.
Yeah.
They were like, no. So they were like, please don't associate us with that man. It turns out that he was actually in Colombia the entire time. So on January 3rd, he was transferred back to Ecuador. When they spoke to him, it turned out that he left to Colombia in his motorcycle, but he tried to leave from Colombia to Panama or to Venezuela, and he was unsuccessful. Elizabeth gave a statement stating that, and I think that this is funny that she would think, but at this point, she would probably think about anything about him. Mm-hmm. She said, hopefully he doesn't run or kill himself. He needs to be put to justice. At trial, he confessed and he apologized about his actions to Maria's family. Dude, how are you going to look at this little boy's face? He called you dad. Mm-hmm. And he trusted you with his mom.
Does he say what happened?
Yeah. Okay. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
So he started to cry. And he said he never... Listen, this is very important because this is crazy. So he did not intend to kill Maria. He said that she was hitting him. And he was defending himself. So he confessed that after the game, he went back to the room and, to go with Jocelyn.
After the game? No, they went back to the party.
Yeah, well, after the party, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So after the party, he went back to the room and Maria kept calling him. And
yeah, bitch, because he's trying to bring you your fucking lunch.
Yeah. And then she was upset that he was drunk and she insisted on seeing him.
Right.
Maria then notices the hickey on his neck. Mm-hmm. She asks him about him and he said, yes, I've been cheating and I was cheating on you for the entire time of our marriage. Obviously, this is going to piss her the fuck off.
Yes.
Right? So then he claims that she started to hit him. She even went so far as hitting him in his private parts. Mm-hmm. And that when he tried to hold her back, he put her in a headlock.
No.
And he started to choke and beat her for her not to scream. So he was holding her so tight for her que no quería que gritara, that he ended up killing her.
Wow.
He claims that listen to this, he then left her there and fell asleep.
There?
Yes. From being so drunk. Right?
Wow.
He then says that he didn't remember what he did to Maria. He had no idea how the blood got anywhere because he didn't hit her, right? And that he doesn't remember how the blood splattered on the wall. He didn't remember anything. He woke up the next day. He wrapped her in a blanket and drug her down the stairs. And then he left her body in her own car for 18 hours while he went to work and tried to clean it up.
No words.
At 7 p.m., he left and drove her over to
where she was found
in the ditch. He also claimed that he had no help, that he did this all by himself, and that the next day that's when he called his mother-in-law and told her she was missing, all of that. Obviously, there's a lot of things that don't make sense in the story, but that's what he said after that. He said he wasn't going to talk to anybody. He didn't answer any questions. If you want to talk to me, talk to my lawyer. Así dijo. But at the trial, hold on to your calzones, bitch. Déjame te cuento. There was a shocking discovery. It came to light, nobody had an idea, that Maria had begun to record on her phone when she started fighting with Germán. Oh. So he started fighting with her, so she started to record.
Okay.
Because she knew the process. That's what makes me think like
she knew maybe what it might have or could have led to.
So then after he was right, she tells him, hey, I've been cheating on you for 5 years. But he was mocking her. Oh. He was making fun of her. He was just being a fucking dick, saying, oh, I made a fool out of you. You know, estás bien pendeja.
Like throwing it
in her face. So at that moment, they began the scuffles and screaming and all of that stuff. And then her husband, she kept saying, me está ahorcando. Like she actually said that.
And she wanted that to be recorded.
How hers... Now, unfortunately, I did listen to some of it. I don't think I wanted to listen to that. I don't know why. If anybody out there wants to listen, but I don't think you want to. But you can hear how she starts getting weaker and weaker because she literally
is being suffocated.
And,
or strangled, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he was just pretty much making fun of her. So the whole thing that you were, self-defense, she was hitting me. I was trying to make her stop.
Obviously, don't ever put your hands on anybody, right? But how hard could she have hit you or be hitting you? Besides that, she says that she hit him in the nuts, but we don't know that to be true.
I mean,
but how hard can she hit you?
Not only that, but
you need to put her in a headlock.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, Estela, like he seemed like he would work out. Like he was playing soccer. He was a lieutenant, so he had to be strong. So what makes you think that it's okay to put anybody in a chokehold?
Yes.
And then wake up the next morning and like nothing, go to work and leave the body in her car.
And you were sober by then. You weren't fucking drunk. If he's saying that he was drunk at the time that it happened, you still saw her body there, and you still maybe you could have gone to the police then. You're like, hey, I was drunk. I did this. Not that being drunk is an excuse, but you're like,
No, he tried to get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
He tried to get away with it. And why did you run to Colombia? Yeah. Why didn't you take responsibility to what you did happened? And give the body of your wife of 5 years back to her family?
Yeah, and like you said, the son that
called you dad. Yeah. And so he was sentenced to 34 years for the murder of Maria. And also he was having to pay $200,000 US dollars in fines. So I don't know how that works because they said that he needed to pay that. Here in America, también les cobran, ¿no?
I think so. It depends on the case, I guess.
I don't know, porque ya ves que en
Mexico you paying restitution?
Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, this is the story of Maria. But let me tell you what happened to Jocelyn. So she was still in prison, remember?
Yeah, or she was being held.
So she was released on January 18 of 2023.
Okay.
And that was because the audio of Maria cell phone, you couldn't hear her in the background. So they couldn't prove that she did hear her screams and that she did nothing about it.
What?
Yeah. So it couldn't prove that Jocelyn was in the back. Like, they couldn't prove that.
Like, did they think Jocelyn was in the same room?
Yeah, that's what they were thinking. But with that being released, they were like, okay, we can't prove what happened.
She was there or not.
So Maria's mom was very unhappy about that because she said that I'm pretty sure she could have heard my daughter screaming and she could have helped her. And they could have prevented Maria's murder. But obviously without evidence.
But like you said, that just doesn't fall on Jocelyn. They would have to fall on other people.
Yeah. So then after that, she did have an interview, and I watched the interview, and
Who
she
did?
Jocelyn. And I actually was interesting because she dice, yeah, like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to give you, but she literally just said exactly what she had said at the court. But she said que she was pressured into having this relationship.
No, but I mean, like, was she drunk too?
She said she was drunk and that she had been on a 12-hour shift before.
Yeah, she was
So
tired.
she was tired.
So like you said, maybe she fell asleep too, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Quien sabe, I don't know. I'm not trying to defend that she didn't help or did anything to help Maria.
Exactly.
But like I said, it just doesn't fall on her. There was a whole bunch of other people that were perfectly sober, you would think, that hers things.
Yeah. So then she said that she was pressured in, like I said, into having a relationship with Germán, that he was her superior. And
He was hitting on her?
That he was hitting on her. And that she was afraid of having any problems with him. She was asked, why did you say that you had heard the screams at first?
Because she did,
and
right?
she said that the police told her, forced her to say that.
That she heard
That she heard screams the first time. Remember that I told you at
She
first
switched her story.
she switched her story,
Yeah.
And that the audio that they had taken of her was illegal. So that's why they had to throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that if she would have heard Maria screaming, that she would have helped her, not only because she was a cadet in the academy, but also because she was a woman herself.
Mm-hmm.
And that if she was in that situation, she would have wanted somebody to help her. So that is the story of Maria Belen Bernal that was killed by her husband in Ecuador.
Trash.
So let us know what you think. Thank you so much for all of your support. We really appreciate any newcomer. For our followers on Instagram, we're growing little by little. So if you would like to follow us, you can follow us at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. If you would like to leave us a review, rate us,
Or download.
our episodes, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.